Hello, welcome to Wellington County Museum and Archives. I'm Amy Dunlop, the Curatorial Assistant, and today we're going to talk about Wellington County Collects, an exciting exhibit program where people's collections are on display. Come discover the exciting items that they're passionate about, the stories that are behind the objects, and learn about what drives them, why they collect all these objects, and why they're connected so passionately to them. Let's meet one of these collectors.
Hi, my name is Melinda Mason, and I've been a Marilyn Monroe collector for over 25 years. Let me show you some of my collection. This is my Marilyn Monroe signed canceled bank check. I was really excited to come across this on eBay of all places. It's from December 19th, 1950, and you can see it's actually filled out and signed in Marilyn's own handwriting. It was very exciting to get a chance to have something that she had actually touched and actually signed. So I've traveled to Los Angeles on several occasions, and one year when I went, I actually went to the location where this check was signed at 1309 North Harper Avenue, and it's just a photo of me at the location where Marilyn lived at the time when she signed the check. So it was pretty cool to be able to do that. I had done some research on the check, and I had found out that at the time it was written, she was, her boyfriend was Johnny Hyde, who was a very famous agent in Hollywood, and he actually died on December the 18th, so the day before this check was written, and his funeral was December 20th, the date after this check. The check is made out to I. Magnin & Company, which is a department store that Marilyn had a charge account at, and from my research I believe that she purchased the black dress that she wore to Johnny Hyde's funeral with this check, so it was pretty cool to find out the story behind it as well. When Joe DiMaggio passed away, all of his personal belongings were left to his granddaughters. So in 2006, they actually auctioned off all of his personal belongings that he had kept. I had bought the catalog just for my collection because I like those types of things. I didn't think I would try to purchase anything, but as I was flipping through the catalog, I noticed that he actually kept these airplane tickets. These are the tickets from Marilyn and Joe DiMaggio's honeymoon in Japan. So they had just been very recently married, and it's one of the first examples of Marilyn's name being Mrs. Marilyn DiMaggio spelled out on the tickets. And he had kept these all of those years, which just made me realize how much of a love story it really was, Joe and Marilyn. So I was very excited to be the winner of that. And you can see he wrote Papers Japan in his own handwriting, and it's a New York Yankees envelope there as well. So it's very exciting. It's my favorite thing that I have. One of the reasons I'm so excited to have the tickets is because it's one of my favorite periods in Marilyn's life. While she was on her honeymoon with Joe, she was asked to travel to Korea and sing for the troops. And so that's just a photo of her there singing for the troops in 1954. And it's just a very iconic event in her life that I'm excited that I have something that's somewhat tied to that. The Marilyn community is really amazing. Online, you know, when the internet came around, that's when people all over the world were able to connect with each other. So there's lots of different Marilyn Monroe fan clubs that I belong to online. But in 2000, I actually created my own website, MarilynMonroe.ca. and that has progressed over the years to just help connect with the fans. So it's really great to have new fans Google Marilyn, and I'm one of the first websites that comes up, so I'm able to promote her as a positive image and let people learn about her in a positive way. I was very lucky to find these candid photographs of Marilyn. These were taken at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles on June 1st, 1962. This was her 36th birthday, and she passed away only a couple months later. This was actually her very final public appearance, and she was there promoting the charity for muscular dystrophy at the time. So it's very rare to have photos like this that aren't staged. I was very excited to get the very first issue of Playboy magazine with Marilyn Monroe on the cover. Hugh Hefner didn't even date it. This was from December 1953, but he wasn't sure that the magazine was ever going to continue past the first issue, so there's no date on the cover. Marilyn actually appears as the very first centerfold that they called them. Well, we call them now, but back then they were called the Sweetheart of the Month, and that was based on a nude calendar that she had done that was called the Golden Dreams Pose. So that appears inside of the first issue of Playboy. And Hugh Hefner really credits his career to Marilyn. He actually purchased the crypt next to her so that he can spend eternity with her. While we may not be able to show you the centerfold or any of the nude calendars on TV, one of these calendars are on display at the museum. I'm a big fan of Susanna Adelaide's work. She's a sculptor from Spain, and she had created this Happy Birthday Mr. President statue back in 2008, and I was lucky enough to secure one of the copies of it this year. So I was really excited to get it. It's really exquisite, right down to the detail of her holding a program from the night of John F. Kennedy's birthday celebration. In 1958, Richard Avedon and Marilyn Monroe were asked to produce some photos for Life magazine, and it was called the Fabled Enchantress Session, and they wanted Marilyn to represent previous screen goddesses. And in this picture she is Theda Bara. She was a silent screen star. As well, some of the other photos that appeared in the magazine, she portrayed Clara Bow and Jean Harlow. But this is my favorite one, and it's signed by Richard Avedon. You wouldn't even know it's Marilyn Monroe. I do actually get the question a lot emailed to my website, people that are just starting to collect and looking for tips and things. My number one thing I say to people is collect what you love. You know what, I loved plates at one time, so I collected plates. Some people like magazines. Really find what that one thing is that you really enjoy about Marilyn, and I suggest you collect that. There's so much Marilyn stuff out there that it's not worth it to buy everything that you see, so I really suggest that you find out what that thing is that really interests you, and start with those pieces. And eBay is a great resource, but if you're looking for something that she actually owned, you're not going to find it for $500 on eBay. So I just really would like people to know that the provenance on eBay, there's a lot of sellers that are writing fake certificates of authenticity. That doesn't mean she owned it, so please be really careful if you're going to spend that kind of money on items that you think she may have owned. This is a print by George Barris. He was a photographer who had befriended Marilyn, and they did many sessions together, but this was the last session that they did together. This photo was taken on July 13th, 1962, so just a few weeks before she died. And in this photo, it's the last one that he snapped, and she just wanted to blow him a kiss, so that's what she's doing in this picture, is blowing him a kiss. On one of my travels to LA, I actually went to Santa Monica Beach where this picture is shot, and I had a replica sweater done, and I got to pose on the beach where Marilyn had been. It was a really surreal experience that I'll remember always. I was lucky to obtain a 1942 yearbook from University High School, and this actually features Norma Jean Baker, as she was known before she became Marilyn Monroe. She's listed as Norma Baker in this yearbook. She was 15 years old, and she left school just a few weeks, probably after this photo was taken, when she turned 16, and she actually got married at that point when she was so young. But this is probably, one of the rarest pictures of her as Norma Jean. Ever since I was a little girl, I loved playing with Barbie dolls, so it was kind of natural that when I discovered that there were Marilyn Monroe dolls, I was instantly hooked on that. So I currently have 45 Marilyn Monroe dolls in my collection. The vast majority of them are by Franklin Mint. They made the most exquisite dolls. In 2001, during one of my trips to LA, I had seen a display of some custom Marilyn dolls. So basically the artist, his name is Kim Goodwin, he took a Franklin Mint doll and he completely redid the makeup, redid the hair, and the entire outfit and everything. And ever since that point in time, it's been very collectible in the Marilyn community. There's no other dolls that compare to capturing Marilyn's likeness compared to a Kim Goodwin doll. And in 2005, I was lucky enough that Kim actually created a doll specifically for me. So he did this Marilyn Monroe Poochie doll. So it's based on her 1962 look, and she's actually standing outside of her last home. And her little dog Maff is in the background as well. So I just love all the details in it, and I treasure her. One of the largest dolls I have is a Franklin Mint doll, and it's actually from the movie There's No Business Like Show Business. It's a beautiful doll that the gown is by William Trevelya, is the designer of that dress from that movie, and I call her my Big Vicky doll. Her name was Vicky in the movie, and she's one of my favorite dolls. Many years ago, I had decided to write to some of Marilyn's co-stars from her various films, and I was thrilled when they sent back an autograph for me. Especially my favorite one is Jane Russell, who starred with Marilyn in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and it's signed to me from Jane Russell, and she has since passed away, so they mean a lot to me. Same with, I have a Lauren Bacall, who starred with Marilyn in How to Marry a Millionaire, and she just passed away recently, so that's another one that I'm very thrilled to have in my collection. This autograph here is from Eli Wallach, and he starred with Marilyn in the movie The Misfits. He also passed away this year as well, fairly recently. And then the very last one I sent away for is Don Murray, and he starred with Marilyn in the movie Bus Stop. He's the only one out of the group that is still with us. When Marilyn Monroe passed away, all of her personal belongings were left to her acting coach, Lee Strasberg. They ended up being willed to his wife, who had never even met Marilyn. But in 1999, she went ahead and sold all of the personal belongings that had been kept in storage all of those years. It was called the Sale of the Century, and it was put on by Christie's. So every fan out there really wanted to get something, because it's the one provenance that you can really trust that it came from there. At the time, I was not successful. I was fairly young at that time, and I wasn't able to get anything, but in 2005, one of the hats that originated in the Christie's auction came back up for auction, and that time I was successful in getting it. So it was a thrill when I opened the package and realized that the Christie's tag was still attached to the hat. So it's one of my absolute prizes of my collection. I've been lucky enough to travel to LA 3 times now. Every year they do a memorial service for her in the exact cemetery where she's buried and in the chapel where they had the original funeral. So every 5 years I try to go, and as I said, I've been there 3 times now. The biggest gathering was in 2012 because that was the 50th anniversary of her passing away. So there was fans from all over the world there that day, and it was just really a great experience meeting all of the fans. That year I had actually arranged for a bus tour to take 40 fans from LA to go to San Diego, and we went to the Hotel del Coronado, which is where Some Like It Hot was filmed. So I was excited to actually stand on the same beach that Marilyn stood on when she filmed that iconic movie, because it's one of my favorite movies as well, so it was very exciting. When I was 15, I was a huge Madonna fan, and she had just come out with the song Material Girl, and I noticed on the news one night they did a comparison between Madonna and Marilyn Monroe, because in the video she does a takeoff on Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. And I was just immediately captivated by this beautiful blonde that I didn't know who she was, so I immediately went out and bought like a 25-cent book and read all about her life, and just felt a real connection, and it was just kind of from there I progressed buying collector plates. You know, what teenager buys plates? But that's what I did with my part-time money, and it just continued on from there, and then turned into what it is today. I was really excited that my fantastic husband allowed me to have the wedding of my dreams in Las Vegas on June 1st, 2010. June 1st was actually Marilyn's birthday, so that was no coincidence. We had 24 guests come with us, and 2 of the biggest surprises there were my 2 bridesmaids. Everyone was thought that was really amazing. They'd never been to a wedding like that. Susan Griffiths, the one Marilyn there, she was in the movie Pulp Fiction, and she also has appeared on many TV movies as Marilyn, and I grew up just idolizing her as a Marilyn impersonator, so I was very overwhelmed that she would come to my wedding. And the other Marilyn there is Susie Kennedy, who I've met at some of my Marilyn trips, and she flew all the way from the UK just to come to my wedding and be part of my day. So it was really, it was the best day of my life. It was incredible. One of the favorite things in my collection that I picked up fairly recently is this wonderful Marilyn Monroe neon sign. I actually found it on Kijiji, which was just completely shocking, and it's the only one I've ever seen. After doing some research, MAC Cosmetics put out a line of Marilyn Monroe cosmetics, and this would have been one of the signs that was used for the advertising for that. So I had to get my lovely husband to drive me a couple hours each way to pick it up, but as you can see, it was totally worth it.
Now that you've met one of our collectors, if you have such extraordinary items that you wish to share with me, please contact me at amyd@wellington.ca or phone me at 519-846-0916 at extension 5232. I'm here and I'm excited about your items.
The preceding program was brought to you by Whiteman TV and Bruce Telecom.